What's up, YouTube? We back with another review. Today we're going to be reviewing Gachiakuta episode 11. Let's get it. So we dive into the episode. A clock is ticking, but as it's ticking, the prior events that happened in the episode are starting to rewind. It's rewinding every moment up until they met Emo, the mysterious lady. And so as the clock keeps ticking, the anime goes 3 hours before the mysterious incident where Engine passed out. It shows them arriving at Amo's house. Amo invites them in, but she says take off your mask. And as the cleaners walk in, they see strange things in the house. They're a bit hesitant. Amo then lures them to her room. As we move along, they finally get up to her room, and she's blushing and laughing. She's looking at their faces. She's like, oh, y'all are so handsome, so beautiful. As we continue, we get a look at her room. It's a large room. It's very comical and very childish. It's filled with toys, bears, and different objects. The cleaners are thrown off by it. Amo then says, okay, what would y'all like to talk to me about? Rudo says, I would like to know more about the person that can travel from the ground to the spear and back. Amo then responds with a totally off-topic question. She asks Rudo, she says, what type of crush do you like? Describe him to me. Rudo is thrown off. He's like, what? Amo then tells Rudo what type of crush she's into. She says, I like the smell more than the face. She then picks out one of the cleaners that she likes. It's the big guy. It's Delman. And later on, the anime will tell us why did she pick this person. But for now, let's continue back to the story. Engine interrupts Amo. He says, okay, you want to trade a little bit of romance talk for a little bit of information. Amo responds. She says, huh? So you just want to use me? She starts to scratch, shake. She gets hysterical. She says, so you just want to use me? You only came here to use me. Amo grows furious. She sparks up her vital instrument, that being her boot. As she does this, Rudo looks at the emblem on her boot. It's the same one as his gloves. Rudo's shocked. He says, huh? Continuing along, Amo's in crash out mode. And after she sparks up her vital instrument, she gives off a menacing look and she says, hey, big man, go on and do your job. Suddenly, the big cleaner Delman arrives behind Engine, and he has his vital instrument pointing at him. He then unloads with his vital instrument, blowing Engine down with the extreme water attack. Engine falls to the ground. He's cold. He's out. The other cleaners react. They say, hey, Delman, what are you doing? You're on our side. Rudo then looks at the girl. He says, hey, what did you do to him? I know you did something. Emma responds to Rudo. She says, now, back to the question. What do you like in a crush? Rudo is just sitting there with a plain look on his face, not even responding. Emma then says, hey, talk back to me. That's how we get to know each other. The anime then pans around the room that she's in. It highlights little teddy bears and dolls, but it also highlights some dolls that's hanging by strings like puppets. This somehow correlates to her power, I know it. And after a little bit of her yapping, Rudo's looking at this woman and she's in like a crazy daze. It looks as if she's possessed. Rudo says, if anything, I cannot talk to this woman. Soon after that, Zunka arrives. He says, hey, I'm getting what you're doing here. You only talk to people who engage in the topic that you discuss or people who try to disagree with it. He then stands on business. He says, you hurt my homie Engine. Now you gotta get it. He sparks up his vital instrument. She responds crying and feeling down. She says, but I didn't do anything. And suddenly, the cleaner Delman tries to attack Zunka. Zunka says, hey, what are you doing, man? He says, snap out of it. She's controlling you. Delman says, I won't let anybody hurt her. He then stands guards in front of her and says, I'll protect her at any cost. The cleaners are confused. They don't know if she's controlling him or this is really him. Amo then somehow manipulates Delman. He sparks up his vital instrument and he looks to attack the rest of the cleaners. Rudo then thinks to himself, he said, man, this is all my fault. It always have to end in a fight. And suddenly it goes to a flashback in his head. He's back at the spear. The apostles are after him and they're trying to throw him into the pit. But this is a faint dream. It's not real. The real person who's grabbing him is Tamsley, one of the cleaners. He actually saves his life because the other cleaner, Delman, who's possessed by Amo, let off an insane water attack with his vital instrument. Tamsley yells at Rudo. He says, hey, get your head in the game, man. Soon thereafter, the cleaner Tamsley gives us a little bit lore on Delman's vital instrument. He says it ties back to his past. He says, He used this water to grow his plants big and strong. He also adds that anything this water hits would act like a sponge and absorb all the fluid content and grow big and strong. But if you do this to a human, it'll absorb all the water and pop just like a balloon. The other cleaners are like, okay, but how did he hit engine? Tamsley explains, he said he has a pressure adjustment to his vital instrument and he used the silent mode. That's why engine didn't hear him. Moving along, the cleaner Rio says, hey, I don't know what's going on, but let's just try to get Delman to relax. Zonka says, no, wait, don't approach him. He's a dangerous opponent. Rio gets distracted, and out of nowhere, Delman lets off an insane water attack with his vital instrument. He strikes her. She falls to the ground. Zonka yells at her. He says, hey, stay focused, Rio. Continuing, Ammo starts to troll him. She says, ha, you don't know who's on your side and who's not. As we continue, the anime pans to Rudo. Tamsley yelling at him. He says, hey, Rudo, wake up. But Rudo's in a daze. He keeps going in and out of consciousness. He's saying, wait, I was just in a spear. Where am I at? He's frantic. His mind is playing tricks on him because in his head, he see all the other cleaners as people who's trying to attack him. He thinks they're the apostles from the spear. But we'll see that Ammo is controlling his memories and his mind with her vital instrument. She then tells Rudo, she says, hey, how do you think memories work? She starts to describe things that may trigger memories. She said, yeah, those things are true, but what I use is smell to trigger memories. And suddenly, Ammo transformed into Chiwa, Rudo's childhood crush. After this, the anime takes us to a flashback of Rudo and Chiwa. It goes back to the moment when Rudo gifted Chiwa the bear and she loved it. She said, I'll cherish this bear forever. Rudo reacts as if it's happening in real time. He doesn't know this, but Ammo's actually manipulating him with her vital instrument. She then explains to the rest of the cleaners how her vital instrument works. She explains that she uses smells to trigger old memories that you share with something that you like or somebody that you love. And in this case, she's using Chiwa to manipulate Rudo. Ammo says anybody who smells the smell of her vital instrument will try to protect her at any cost. And that's just what happens, because Ammo actually manipulates all of the cleaners, and only 2 of the cleaners are left to defend themselves, and that's Tamsley and Zonka. And so the anime ends, and the final shot being Tamsley and Zonka fighting off their former comrades who've been manipulated by Ammo's vital instrument.